How to stop a chariot. This is how it's done, but players in regions where they only use ranged units without thinking can't deal with them. They're a threat precisely because those players don't know how to deal with them. Hello everyone. In this video, I'll be doing an in-depth review of the Onna-musha. Since I mostly play siege and ranked matches, chariots aren't much of a threat, but it seems they can be a threat on battlefields where a lot of players just stay in the back and use ranged units without thinking. I'll be introducing a technique to deal with chariots even on those battlefields swarming with cowardly players. Let's get started. The doctrines and Davinci used are as follows. This unit is meant to hold the backline from a position slightly behind the front line. However, their low defense makes them easy to wipe out if handled carelessly. So, it can be a good idea to have them on standby specifically for anti-chariot roles. They are so fragile that they haven't had much use until now, but with the addition of chariots to the game, they have a new role in stopping them in their tracks. This unit has two main skills. First is Skill 1, Charge. This is a charge similar to those melee infants, positioning them to effectively hit units with a wide area attack. Although there's a doctrine for knockdown, it's unnecessary for anti-chariot purposes. The second skill is Onslaught. This skill targets the nearest enemy and unleashes a continuous barrage. There's no auto-tracking, so if you don't hit the target with the entire onslaught, the soldiers in the back will be idle, reducing your damage output. When they were first released, their damage was sufficient, but as other units' damage was buffed, they started to feel a bit lacking. And what few people know is that this skill has a recovery function from crowd control effects. By choosing the mixed path, you can reuse the skill every 4 seconds. And since all of the Onna-musha's attacks have the anti-cavalry effect, they are strong against cavalry. The technique doesn't require any complex operations, so let's try it out in practice. You can destroy chariots without applying a movement slowing debuff with your hero, but you'll probably see them escape more often, so it's important to change your hero's weapon and apply that debuff. Here is a comparison of the ranges of hero weapon debuff skills. This position reaches. This position does not reach. This position reaches. This position reaches. Even if your unit attack or your legitimate skill can't reach, your teammates might attack on your behalf, so the short sword is more versatile than the long sword. However, do not equip the runes mentioned above. It will reduce the slowing effect, making it difficult to catch the enemy. For example, in this scene, if I had used the long sword, they probably would have escaped. It's only because I used the short sword that I was able to take care of the chariot. Do you remember the scene from my last video? What if you add a doctrine effect to the polearm unit? But that's impossible. This is because the maximum is fixed at 60%, and setting a doctrine will not increase the debuff effect. However, if you read carefully, this answer only states that it doesn't apply to counterattacks. It doesn't say whether or not it applies to the Onna-musha's attacks, so I decided to test it. The chariot doesn't stop. But when I tested it with my own unit, the chariot stops beautifully, meaning that the doctrine effect that boosts movement speed reduction debuffs is indeed stacked. Just so you know, you can also stop it with a 10% movement speed reduction debuff. This means there is no need to take the bottom line and get a 90% movement speed reduction debuff. I tested their versatility this time, and the conclusion is, they are quite excellent. This is the only unit that possesses both a movement speed reduction debuff and high damage. Although their low defense makes them fragile, they are highly recommended as an anti-chariot unit.